Everyone, welcome to our Friday morning trading session. Another work week almost done. Hold on a second here while I get to my monitor. Do my monitor share with you. Strong open this morning here on the NASDAQ. Take a look here at the Raptor, and you will see what I mean. We've got, well, the market's been ranging quite a bit in the overnight. We did get a pretty serious run up during the Asian session, which is a little bit unusual. Usually it's reversed. The Asian session is a little bit quieter, and then the European session is a little bit more active, but not this time around. This time, once the Europeans took over, the market was uncharacteristically waffling. So we've got a rather substantial opening gap just below the market here. The Raptor producing a little bit of a trend change cloud crossover type scenario. We're at the bottom end of the trading range, so I'm trying not to get too crazy here, but I suspect that we're going to see something happen with that gap. Let's see if we get another signal here. Well, we also got the green bar sell here on the Eagle. The Eagle, one of those tools that I don't mind taking an early signal off of. Let's see if we get a second chance here at this. Okay, so the Hawk's going to come in and give us a first micro macro cross. I'm going to set it up to take it below the low rather than on the hash mark. Now that we know the limit of the market, or the very short-term limit of the market, may need to adjust that as we get more into a macro pullback type situation. So there's the first micro macro cross triggering. Of course, the problem with this one is if I took it here on the hash mark, I'd have to cover it right above this swing high. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that, well, I suppose risk-wise we'd be having about the same amount in play. But I want to try to get it as it gets some momentum rather than, try to ride out the swing. All right, so now we're in a macro pullback situation. I will adjust it for a macro pullback, and now we're into yellow bars. So there goes that idea. Gold also a little sideways. Oh, good morning, Jim. Jim says the advance decline very lopsided, 2,200 on the buy, only 200 on the sell. Remember though, folks, we've got a huge opening gap to the upside, so that's going to skew the numbers a little bit. We'll have to see how those change relative to each other. Jim says the bond's looking a little toppy, gold looking sideways, and crude oil sneaking slightly higher. Waiting for a signal to perhaps print. That yellow bar there in the hawk is spoiling that macro pullback signal, which is most unfortunate. All right, well, we're kind of on hold here at the moment then. All right, so here comes the Eagle now with a possible trend change signal. We're against the ATR. No, and they're not looking to commit to that either. The Raptor coming in here with a earlier signal. Now this is a little bit more risky to take it within this range. Shorting it near the or on a breakout below the low, I think is going to be a little bit more predictable. But we'll see if this bar continues lower, which it does not, at least not yet. We're getting another warning dot, so the sellers are trying to send it lower. All right, here they come. So again, what we're looking for here is some confirmation that this is going to hold this little swing high with all this activity. So far, it looks like we're actually going to get a soft edge buy. So we may be looking to go long, and there's our soft edge buy signal. Oh, what a tough little situation here. But what I'll do is I'm going to use my logic counter. So we've essentially got an OCO style trade going on here now. All right. So what I'll do is we'll use the swing high low perhaps to start. Come on. Oh, look at that. Just as they get near the top end of the trading range, the sellers start to gang up on it. Come on, one more push. You can do it. No, they can't. All right, well, we knew this was a little bit of a risky trade because of the way the market's moving sideways, getting a lot of overlap and such. All right. Come on, buyers. You got to give me at least one bar. That'll give me a good excuse to start rolling my stops. right, you know what? I'm going to just give the market that bar anyhow. It's waffling a little bit too much. If it breaks down here, the chances are that it's going to try to head lower anyhow. All right, you see all the volume associated with that bar? So we know there's a lot of buying and selling going on here. That's why I said if this bar fails, well, we may as well take our stop because the buyers will have lost their grip. Right now they have control, but just barely. Come on, buyers. Okay, we're gonna sneak this up here a little bit. And a little bit more. Okay, once we get rolling here, I may change over to the parabolics. If we can take out the high, that's going to be the challenge for this trade. Come on. So you can clearly see the struggle now between the buyers and sellers. Oh, sorry, Jim. I just saw your note here. Jim says, Eric, can you give me a measurement on that YM cloud? Sure can. So we're looking at 171.66 to 171.39. They backed up on us just enough to tag the trade at break even. So obviously the sellers really digging in up here at the highs. There was a little bit of profit in that trade I could have tried to protect, but I was holding out for a little bit more. A little bit more follow through. We'll see whether we get a cloud crossover here now. Had a macro pullback signal while we were waiting for that. And as you might expect, given the way the market is just kind of drifting sideways here today, we are in scalp mode at the moment. No real surprise there. We'll see what happens when they turn to trend mode. So we've got a lot of sideways action going on here, pretty much across the board. The markets I'm watching right now are not doing a whole lot. All right, well, this is kind of interesting. We're getting a, pardon me, a red bar buy signal, which of course we can short, right? The red bar buy, we don't have to buy. We can look to sell the failure of it. Oh, sure, if I wait long enough, I won't get a chance. And it should eventually drift into a first micro macro cross if in fact the trend change is legitimate. You see here we're getting a quickie trend change signal on the Falcon also, and it's coming back with a proper trend change signal. So we're getting the same signal repeating here a couple of times. Possible green bar sell here now on the Eagle. But it's really difficult when the market is just kind of stuck. Much easier to actually let the market get a a directional bias and then look to get into the trade. Oh, see, we can scrub our selling attempts as we're just flip-flopping here at the moment. All right, here's a green bar sell. We're currently against the ATR, but I can tell with my logic counter, if this bar closes on the low, it will flip the ATR over and confirm the green bar sell. Oh, our trade forecasts are still all over the map here. In swing mode for about 10 minutes, which is nothing. After that, we're back into scalp mode. So it looks like it's going to be one of those days where you can just pretty much pick a direction and hold on for dear life. All right, so now everything is drifting again. We can kill that order. Well, not a very entertaining trading session so far. Do do do. This is the time you want to have a book handy or a musical instrument or something, so you don't do something silly out of boredom. Oh, way to go, Jim. Yeah, elevator music. Jim says he managed to pick up 14 ticks on 3 contracts in a crude oil trade. Well done. The market's very content where it is right now in the NASDAQ. Randy says his trade forecaster not reading the same. My data series is set at 24.5. And your open time at 7:30 should be okay, but try changing it to 24.5. See if that doesn't help. Something about those couple hours during the Sunday morning Globex Open throws a little bit of a wrench into Trade Forecaster. All right, trend mode coming up in about 5-6 minutes time. We'll see whether or not that actually follows through. Last time it stayed in trend mode for all of a minute. Working a first micro macro cross now. And this may actually, well, I was going to say this may actually run out a little bit. I don't know, maybe not. I hate buying at the top end of a trading range. I really do. All right, that's now into yellow bars, so good reason to nix that. And here comes the green bar sell yet again on the Eagle. We're still against the ATR. What a mess. All right, so the Raptor, if it fails here and heads lower, we will have our soft edge sell. All right, so it's holding. See if we get that sell signal. Oh, look at the Geiger counter, the buyers and the sellers just trading punches all the time here. Nobody can get a leg up on the other. I'm thinking short because of that opening range gap. That's why I'm a little bit more open to selling the market this morning than I am about buying it. All right, and here we come with the first micro macro cross just to tease me. I wouldn't take it on the hash mark. I think I would take it above the high. Can I cover below the low? Yes, I can. That's a pretty ugly trade. But if you're really desperate for a trade, there you go. But like I said, I think I'd be a little bit more comfortable selling. All right. Now we're getting a red bar buy signal, possible red bar buy signal that we can look to short. And here is now our sell signal on the Raptor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot a trend line across the bottom here. And we're going to short below that. Again, looking for these highs to hold and for a possible run into that gap. We are making lower swing highs. Huge volume on these bars right here. You see this on the Eagle, and the market's just not going anywhere. A little risky, to say the least. All right, so I'm going to nix the profit target on the hawk trade. See if we can't run it out a little bit. I think if this market gets some momentum to it, if it gets some actual direction, it may run a little ways. Okay, so I've got my stops enabled now across the board. Oops. And now we just need to see some okay, and we're getting a green bar sell now here on the Eagle also. And I know that with the logic counter, we're currently against the ATR, but this bar, if it finishes on the low, will flip the ATR over because it will close below the ATR line, forcing the ATR to move the other way, and that will effectively make that our signal bar. Okay, so we're fairly committed to the short side on this one now. I'm going to try to be patient with my stops because of the choppiness that's going on. We're, after all, still in scalp mode. Oh, sorry, we're in trend mode, but only for about 4 minutes time, after which we're moving back into scalp mode. All right, so we've hit our first profit objective, and I guess it's probably time that we can take our trade to break even. Being a little bit more aggressive on the stop here with the hawk. I could just leave it at break even also. Hooray! We rode out one of the swings. And we're closing in on our break-even trigger here on the Eagle. And you know what? That's going to be close enough for me. I'm going to take this trade to break even. There we go. My concern, of course, is this support down here. If we encounter that support and we get a really big reaction out of it, I may as well take the trade at break even. And, you know, at the end of the day, always let your pocketbook be your guide. We've got a fair amount of open profit here. No point in letting all that get away. And I should probably start being a little bit more aggressive with my stop here on the yeah, sure, let's go with parabolics. We'll squeeze the trade. If it fails here, then we may as well take our profit. We know that there's going to be probably some sort of reaction here as the market has now encountered the lows of the morning. Come on, sellers. Knock them down one more time. Oh, they're going to tag us here in a sec. All right, well, it was a good run. We hit our profit objective here on our Eagle trade. Hooray for us. And we're currently still nursing our Hawk trade. So the ATR doing a pretty good job of keeping us in. So far. You can see we're losing some of this momentum here, but there is a good chance that the sellers may pull it off still. Oh, way to go, Jim. Jim shorted the YM with 5 contracts out for 21 ticks. Well done. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, and there we go. We got tapped on a little bit of a reversal. Okay, well, I'm starting to wonder after all that if that wasn't the move of the day. We had to do a whole lot of waiting for that one. But when it finally played out, we got a nice little result from that. And now we're back on hold. A little bit of a macro pullback, but you know, because the market has been so sideways, so reluctant to commit to a trade, I would be very selective about what trades I'm taking from here on out. So we see that macro pullback now fading into yellow bars. The other problem with doing that macro pullback, of course, is where you're going to cover it. What I would do to handle a macro pullback like this is I would probably use a trend line to help me gauge where the best entry is. Now, if you chose to take it, and I'm just going to throw that up there, this is going to be your profit objective right down here at the trend line. So you need to figure, all right, can I get enough out of this trade before we hit the trend line, or is the market going to squash me? And you can see right now, had you taken it, you're taking some heat. You'd have to run your stop very, very deep in anticipation of this pullback. I can probably do another trend line, something like this. Oops. Where it definitely has a bear flag flavor to it. But no downward momentum as of yet. All right, so that's why that wasn't such an inviting macro pullback signal. You have to try to take these things in context, right? Try to consider what kind of day it's been. I'm not saying the market can't head lower from here. It's got a lot of room to head lower. It's still got that big opening gap to fill. But we can see how reluctant the market is to go anywhere, and how long it took. How long did it take before we finally got that clean signal? A good half an hour. Good half an hour of nothing but chop and no follow through. Thank goodness we were a little bit more conservative with our entries. But then when we finally got the trade, it all unfolded in about 10 minutes time, and then that was that. And here we are sitting and waiting again. And the same is true for crude and gold too. Gold made a little bit of a move lower, but really not much. Jim, we're passing a little time here now. Jim says, "Hey Eric, what's your temperature up there in your neck of the woods here in the Pacific Northwest?" Well, hold on one second, Jim. I'll get you the forecast for today. It's been a little bit cool of late, but that's spring. So the forecast today is going to be for 5 degrees. That's Celsius. For those of you in the States, that's 41. But it is a little, like I said, abnormally cool. The weather at this time of the year is usually hovering around the mid-50s. And for those of you on the Celsius scale, that's going to be about 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. But it's been raining like crazy the last week, so much so that some of the roads have flooded, especially those closer to the ocean, because what ends up happening is with the tides, for those of you who don't live near the ocean, as the rivers empty into the ocean, if you have a high tide coming in, that's always good for backing up the water in the river, much like your sewer might back up. And some of the roads are flooded. we live near a trail near the Trans-Canada Trail here. It's a beautiful walking trail that literally goes from coast to coast if you wanted to walk the whole thing. And there's a creek, um, maybe a couple hundred yards, 400 yards from where I live. And the municipality has had to shut down the trail because the creek is running so high. I think they're afraid it's going to overflow the trail. And it's a good 10, 15 feet to the bottom of that creek from the top of the trail. This isn't like the creek is just running beside the trail. There's a good 15-foot drop, so that is a lot of water coming down out of the hills nearby. And like I said, it's been torrential rain. It's like the rain that you see in Oregon. For those of you down in Oregon, I live in a rainforest. I have never seen rain like it was raining when we drove through Oregon in December. The rain was coming at you sideways. And the funny thing is, when I commented to the girl at the hotel, she says, "Oh yeah, sometimes it rains even harder," like it was nothing. It was pretty wild, and I know rain. But it looks like today we may actually see a little sunshine, a little break in the weather. The rain is easing, which is good. We don't normally have flooding here. There is an area that does around the levee, and they've built up the levee, pardon me, about 5, 6 years ago. We had a lot of rain and the tides and everything. And the lake actually overflowed the levees and flooded a couple of blocks, about a block and a half. Yeah, Tony says the weather's beautiful in downtown urban Moose Jaw. It might well be. Here, hold on one second. Let's see what's going on in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan today. So here's the weather in Moose Jaw. Actually, they're doing pretty good. About the same as we are, I guess. 5 degrees, but just cloudy, no rain. This is the difference, though, between living on the coast and living on the prairies. Next week, when things get a little bit milder for us, they're still very cold. They're still hovering around freezing, and it looks like they may even get a dusting of snow on Tuesday. Gee, that's terrible. Well, folks, we did see that macro pullback fail and turn into a first micro macro cross right here. It looks like that would have hit its profit objective. Not giving me a warm fuzzy feeling though. Um, like I said, that big opening gap below the market still beckons. We can't get serious about shorting it though until we get below these lows. I suspect, and I'm just guessing now, that given the big opening gap that we saw, the best that the sellers may be able to muster today is a little bit of a sideways action type of trading day. Wow, Jim says the bonds won't stop selling. Gold just took a tumble while we were checking the weather network. Um, Let me bring over gold prices here. After moving sideways for much of the morning, gold came back with a green bar sell signal. This is about the same time, well, a little bit later actually, after our NASDAQ trade. And gold took a real tumble there, heading lower. So a nice little opportunity on the gold market to sell it. Could have, oops, I keep forgetting gold is a lot like crude oil. I got to keep my stops a little cozier. But a nice little opportunity there for a profit. And you can see it went much, much further. But that one too, you'd have to camp out and wait for it. And now it's, pretty happy where it's at. So if you're going to be trading the rest of the day here, I think we're going to see a lot of that, a lot of sideways chop, a lot of, the market feeling, the buyers feeling out the sellers and the sellers trying to get a grip on the buyers. And with the bonds, um, Jim says the bonds won't stop selling. That should actually spark the stock index higher. At the very least, the E-mini and the Dow, the NASDAQ, kind of, it moves in sync, but it also does its own thing. As we've seen today, it hasn't been correlated to anything. I know, Jim. Jim says, yeah, but that gap is huge. I know. That gap below the market is enormous. It may end up filling in the afternoon. The worst thing you can do is try to impose your will on the market, though. I can't tell you how many times that has led me into taking a losing trade. You have to trade what you see here. Do your best to put your own personal bias away and be prepared to buy or sell accordingly, whatever the market happens to be doing. All right, you guys, I know it's early, but I think we're going to shut down the room here, call it an early weekend. Um, I do suspect the market is just going to drift here for a little bit. If anything, as I mentioned before, I would be more inclined to sell, but hey, my day is done. We've had a couple really good trades here. I wouldn't risk that. I would walk away with that. The market's given us, so we picked up a couple dollars there, a nice winning trade there. So there's no reason to risk any of this. We got a 4-figure day going, and that's good enough for me. All right, you guys, we'll catch up with you on Monday. I promise you I will be a little bit groggy because some sadistic person in government decided to advance daylight savings time by 2 weeks. And I'm not a morning person at the best of times, so we'll see if I can keep my wits about me. All right, have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you on Monday. Bye for now.